community. My name is Ijoma T. Daniels. If this is your first time coming to my channel, my name is Ijoma T. Daniels. I'm a special mom. I created this channel as a platform where I'll share my journey through parenting a special child, sharing my story, sharing my lessons, and sharing other people's stories. So thank you for coming here. I do hope that you find information that you can use to help someone, or even draw some lessons for yourself. You don't have to be a special parent to learn from the things that we share here. So thank you, and go ahead and click the subscribe button and be a part of this community. Today I'm going to be talking about the story of my stillbirth. To give context to it, I had a son in November 2020, and he died at birth. I've always struggled with saying he died, so I always use he slept, we lost him, things like that, but I've not used death before. So this is probably the first time I'm using death to describe him. So we lost him at birth, and I just want to share the story of the pregnancy and the delivery. So here goes. In March 2020, after we got the diagnosis of my daughter and we discovered that the disease is a genetic one, which means that any other of your child could have the disease, we're torn between, should we keep this pregnancy or should we not keep this pregnancy? After a while, reason prevailed. Reason prevailed in the sense that I had to start talking to myself. It's not just spinal muscular atrophy. What if the child comes out, and what if the child does not have spinal muscular atrophy, or does not get diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy, and they have another condition? Will I throw the child away and all of that? So I had to talk to myself and tell myself to brace up. Whatever comes with it, we'll handle it. I always have this belief that God does not allow us get through something that we cannot handle. Though it was a tough time for me, because I was still dealing with the diagnosis of my daughter. I was depressed, very, very depressed at that time, and then I was battling a lot of things. My faith took a big hit. My relationship with God also took a big hit. I was in that position where I just felt God, I used to say, is God day your day, make I day my day. I felt like I could handle my life without God's interference, so I wasn't praying. At the back of my mind, I knew God is there, but I just couldn't come to Him. I just couldn't expect anything from Him, because I felt, He disappointed me. How could He have sat down, folded His hands, and watched this happen to me? And all of that. So that was what I dealt with at the time, and then I found out I was pregnant. So it was a very terrible position, because I could not pray for this pregnancy. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I confessed over her. I made declarations over her. Her father would always speak to her on a daily basis. We always make declarations over her. Would always speak over every organs in her body, every of her system, and then this happened. So it was more or less like, what's the use? What's gonna happen is gonna happen. So what's the use praying about it? What's the use making declarations over this child? So I didn't make any declarations over this child. It affected my husband also. That pregnancy was one pregnancy that we were not in the best place, so to say, spiritually. So I struggled with that up until when I was 6 months pregnant with him, and a series of things happened. And just one morning, I just went to my music library, and I started my playlist on my phone, and I started playing one Nathaniel Bassey song. That I picked up that song and I started playing it. And when the song started playing, and then I started crying, and then I started talking to God, and I told him, how could you have stayed? How could you have let this happen to me? I served you all my life. I used the best part of my youth for your service. Same thing with my husband. We served you. Is this how you reward people who serve you? And all of that. And I cried and cried and cried and cried. And guess what? The only thing I could hear in my spirit was, if you could not handle it, it couldn't have come to you. And I mean, I don't know if that was supposed to be encouraging or something. And then I burst out crying afresh. Like, I don't understand. I didn't ask for this. You can't be telling me that if I couldn't handle it, it wouldn't have come to me. I didn't ask for this. And that was when I started building my relationship afresh. And then I started praying again. I had a group of friends, sisters, that would pray together, and we all had this prayer together, and they joined me in prayer. So I started first of all with the community, praying with people, because I was still struggling with praying alone. So I started with praying with people, and little by little my faith kept coming up. And then I think by the time I was 7 months pregnant with him, I had gotten to the point where I could still trust God to prove himself. And that was it. So we went through the pregnancy. So every other thing about this pregnancy was uneventful, totally uneventful. Yes, I was concerned. So because my daughter was born small, she was 1.9 kg at birth. So I kept asking them during the scan, is he small? Is he small? Is he normal size? Is he normal size? The doctor was very reassuring, kept telling me I should not worry, that this child will come out fine, nothing will be wrong with him and everything. And so we pulled through till when I was 36 weeks old, I started noticing reduced movement. I think between 35 weeks and 37 weeks, I had to go to the hospital 2 times because I noticed reduced movement of the baby. And they did the normal CTG check. They checked, heartbeat was okay, no issues, nothing, and everything. I went back home. So on the day that I was to complete 37 weeks, I went in to see the doctor. The doctor did the CTG and said the baby was fine and there was nothing wrong. And then he said, in fact, since you'll be 37 weeks tomorrow, coming and will induce you and you will have this baby, it's better we have him here and take care of him on the outside than this whole concern that is happening while he's in the womb. So it was fine by me. But my younger sister went to the hospital with me, but she was really concerned. She insisted and begged the doctor to keep me in the hospital overnight. And so the doctor said, no problem, I should come in that night, that Friday night. I should come in on Friday night. She's sleeping. I should come in that Friday night, and then they will induce me very early morning on Saturday. So because he said he had people who were in the hospital that needed to be induced for the next day, and for that day, and he didn't want to have too many people in his hands to manage. So we agreed. So I came in that evening. My husband, when I went back home, packed my bags, my husband brought me back to the hospital and stayed with me. We prayed together, and then he went back home. And I had a big auntie who came to stay with me in the hospital that night. So the next morning at about 8 a.m. I was induced, and within 30 minutes I started having that crazy contraction that used to enter the brain, and I started telling them that the contraction, it was too painful and everything. So they took me to the labor room, and between 8 and about 11 I kept everything. It said I was progressing very well, no issues and everything. And in all honesty, this baby was monitored every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes, the nurse will come, check heartbeat. Everything was okay. Everything was okay. And then at about 11:15, they asked me to start pushing. I started pushing by 11:15, and I've had 3 labor experience, and that labor was my worst experience. That labor was my worst experience. I pushed that baby for 30 minutes. For between 30 to 45 minutes, I was pushing. I'll push, rest, and everything. And I was losing strength. I was tired. In all honesty, that baby was continuously monitored. As in, while I was pushing, for every time I push and then I stop, they will come and measure the heart to check his heart rate. His heart rate was constantly, as it was okay. There was no concern until I made the last push. And when I made the last push, the baby came out, and there was no cry, nothing. And the doctor said, okay, we have to resuscitate this baby now. So, it's a normal, I don't know, let me not say it's a normal thing. I've heard stories of babies who come out not crying and they are resuscitated and they are fine. But, so it was really not concerning to me. I just felt, the doctors know what to do, and they will resuscitate the baby. So the doctor took him by the side, was doing all the suctioning. As I was there, I was praying in tongues. I kept telling my husband, honey, are you praying? Honey, are you praying? Are you praying? Honey, are you praying? And then I was trying to pray. I was too tired, but with the last strength in me, I was speaking in tongues. I was just lying there. If I hear any baby cry, I'll turn and say, is that my baby? Is that my baby? And everything. So after about 5 minutes, I think the doctor now saw that there was nothing he could do. And then they took him out of the room and said they were taking him to the ICU. And then of course my husband went with the doctor and everything. So I was there, and I think by that time, so the nurses are now there calling the doctor, doctor, she's bleeding and everything. So they came. I think they were afraid that my agitation, because I became agitated at that time. I had not seen the child that I gave birth to. I mean, no mom will be okay. You are conscious, but you have not seen your baby. So I was a bit agitated. I think that affected me, and I started bleeding. So he had to come in, doing some things that he did. They did the stitching, did everything, and then I think they knocked me out. So before I slept off, the doctor now told me I shouldn't worry myself. They are doing all they can to get the baby stable, and that everything is fine. I shouldn't let myself be worried. So I think that was the last thing I heard, and then I slept. And my big auntie just came in. I opened my eyes a little. She placed this NSPPD prayers. She just placed it in my ear and just it was playing there, and then I dozed off again. And that was the only thing I could remember. I woke up I had the baby at 12. Yes, I had the baby at 12, and then I was knocked off. I woke up by 4. I woke up by 4, and then I was very hungry. I stood up, went to the bathroom, had my bath, and I was still bleeding sort of. And then there was no nurse. I couldn't even talk. There was nobody around that I could talk to ask any question. So as I finished eating myself, I changed and then laid back on the bed. And by then I think a nurse came in, and I told them I wanted to eat. They got me food. I ate the food. I asked them, how was my baby? They said he was fine, and I shouldn't worry. A doctor will come and talk to me. And then I asked, where's my husband? They said my husband went, I can't remember what they said he went to do, but I know he wasn't at the hospital at that time. And then I was very drowsy. So I just ate the food, laid back and slept. And then I woke up by 7 p.m. and I think by then the drug had worn off, and then everything replayed in my head again. There was nobody to talk to. My husband was not there. My big auntie that was in the hospital with me was not there. The nurses were all avoiding me, and I was still on the bed where the delivery bed where I had the baby. So, and this was upstairs. I got down from the bed. I'm sorry. I'm making the story so long. It's quite an emotional one for me. I have not had to tell this story like this without interruption. So this is kind of therapeutic for me also. So I came down from the bed and I walked downstairs, got into my room. I saw that the baby clothes that I gave them. I'm sorry, I'm becoming a lot emotional. Okay, so I went to the bag and I saw that the cloth I gave them to dress the baby with, they had brought it back and it was in the bag. So I that was worrisome for me, but I'm someone who I read a lot about medical one-to-one thing when it has to do with childbirth. I've read, watched videos, studied a lot of things. So I know that if a child is in a NICU, they might not need the cloth. So in my mind, the child is probably in the NICU and they didn't need the cloth for the child. So I saw that the way my bag was disorganized. So I just organized my bag back. I looked for my phone. My phone was nowhere. And as in there was nobody to talk to, so I laid down back. I had an exam to write like 4 days after that. I had this baby on Saturday. I had an exam on Tuesday, so I brought out the book and I started reading my book for the exam, and it was around at about 8:30 my husband came with my friend Chinez, and immediately they entered, I sensed that something was wrong. So I asked my husband, what's up with Kamdi Chinobi? Yeah, that was the name we gave him, Kamdi Chinobi, as I am in God's heart. So I asked him what's up. He said that everything is fine, that the doctor, they've taken him to Luth. Luth is the biggest teaching hospital in Lagos. They've taken him to Luth. They wanted a specialist to look at him, and so I now said, so if he's in Luth, why am I here and why are you here? Who is with him? He now said that they have people who are taking care of him. I'm sorry, at this point I have to say I've been in Luth and I know how nonchalant these caregivers can be. So it didn't feel right to me that I'll be in a different hospital and my newborn is in another hospital. So of course my how will I call it, my optimist mind wanted to believe that what they are saying is true, but it didn't make sense. And then another thing, I asked my husband doesn't know how to lie. You can catch my husband in a lie any day, anytime. So my husband does not know how to lie. So I asked him, I said, what was the baby's weight at birth? And he said 3 kg. It's almost like, I mean, no baby weighs 3 kg at the dot. So it felt to me like it was a guess. And then I asked him, for me it was like, if my husband, anything another person is telling me, I might doubt it, but anything my husband tells me, I'll believe it, because he's not comfortable telling a lie. So he would most likely tell me the truth. So I now asked him, so what are they saying? What is the outlook for him? What are they saying about him? He now said, we don't know. When we see the specialist tomorrow, we'll know. So that was what shot my faith up, like maybe by 20%, for him to tell me that the specialist will see him the next day and then give us a feedback. So, and then I became concerned and I asked him, where is my phone? He now said that he forgot my phone at home, that it was when they left the house that he realized that my phone was not with him. And I looked at my friend. I saw that my friend was trying so hard. So when she came in, the first thing she did was just to hug me and hold me and everything. And I knew she was trying so hard not to cry. And I said I wanted to talk to my first daughter. She started typing a message, and I knew that the message she was typing was to tell my sister maybe to comport herself before making the call. So all these things I was calculating in my head. So as I called, my sister picked the phone and did not show her face. Just placed the phone in my daughter's face. So I talked to my daughter. I was like, come see, how are you? Mommy will soon be home. This, that, and everything. And then I said, I called her. I said, Miss Oma, show me your face now. She now showed her face, and she was just being silly. You know, she was doing things like, another sign that something was wrong. Now there are two people in my life that I know that if these two people don't call me or if those two people are not around me when something that bad was happening, as in my child was in critical care, and these two people have not called me. In fact, one of them, that the fact that she was not in that hospital at that time was already a bad sign for me. Amarachi would literally be standing in front of the hospital, but Amarachi was not there. I asked my husband, has Amarachi called you? He said yes, that he has spoken to her. I said okay. And I said, what of Auntie Ngozi? Has Auntie Ngozi called you? He said yes, I've spoken to Auntie Ngozi. She even tried calling your phone, but I've spoken to her. So I was like, because I know Auntie Ngozi, no matter what, she would call my husband and ask to speak with me, and she had not spoken with me. So it was a somehow thing happening for me. So, and then when I was going to bed that night, I started singing a song. That was a song I was singing before the night before I had this child, and the song it's Hallelujah by Dunsin Oyekon. It goes, hallelujah, that's what my song will be. That's what my song will be. That's what my song will be. And I started singing this song. I sang it repeatedly. Sang it until I slept. But by that time, I knew my heart could not connect to this child. All I was pining for at that point was my daughter who was at home. My heart was pining for her. My heart was reaching out to her and not reaching out to this child. So, but I just knew that something was wrong. So I kept singing that song, that no matter what happens, my song will be hallelujah. No matter what happens, my song will be hallelujah. And then the next morning, I had my bath, dressed up, I started reading. Started reading for my exam. And then while I was reading, my big auntie was with me, and then they told me that because my cousin had her wedding on that day that I had Kambi Chinobi, and so most of my family members were in Lagos. They came into Lagos for the wedding, and they just told me that all my family members were in the hospital reception and they came to see me. And then this my big auntie said, she now went on her knees and started telling me, no matter what you hear, I don't want you to overreact. I want you to calm down. Of course, that gave it out. That gave it out, because I mean, why would you be begging me not to overreact? So maybe she started doing that. Then I started crying because I knew it meant that child had passed and everything. So I already started crying before my family members came in. And so when they came in, Auntie Ngozi was leading the way, and then I just reached out and I hugged her and I just held her, started crying. I started asking her, am I not supposed to have children? Maybe I'm not supposed to have children. I'm the one who is going for something that is not meant for me, and all of that. She kept telling me to keep quiet, don't say anything, don't say anything. You are meant to have children, you will have your own children, healthy children, and all of that. And then the doctor came in, and then he sat beside me, held my hand, and told me that actually the baby passed. Before he came out, that he was already dead by the time he came out. So they just wanted me to to be stable before they will break the news to me. And then the first question I asked was, where is he? I didn't get to see him. And I just asked, where is he? And he said they'll take care of him and all of that. And that was it. It's already a very long video, but the beautiful thing is that I think what happened to me after my daughter's diagnosis strengthened my spirit. I people who were close to me thought that incident is what will make me tear my Bible, like burn my Bible, because they know what happened to me after we got my daughter's diagnosis, what happened to me and my faith when we got my daughter's diagnosis. So they were feeling like, if a diagnosis for a living child could make me be like that, what was a dead child going to do to me? And but I was strengthened. I was strengthened in my inner man. I till tomorrow I can't explain where the strength came from. In fact, people around me said they wanted to always talk to me, to be around me, because they were drawing strength from my strength. My mom, when she was leaving, she said she was grateful to God. In fact, that when she came, she was devastated. But when she saw how me and my husband were taking it in great stride, she was encouraged. She was really encouraged. And that was it. So I don't know. I don't know what lessons are there. But in case you're someone who experienced a stillbirth and you are looking for encouragement, something to encourage you. Okay. The good news is that six weeks or let me say 2 months after that, I found out I was pregnant with this young lady here. And of course, this child does not replace that child. There's no replacement. Kachi is a different child. Kamdichinobi is a different child. This child does not replace that child. There's no two ways about it. That's what it is. But the truth is that I just want to encourage you that this, I know at the point where it is happening, it feels like this pain is going to kill you. It feels like this is it. This pain, you cannot survive it, but it's not true. You will get over it. That's a beautiful thing that life gives to us. Time is a beautiful thing that life gives to us. For some people, it will take 6 months. For some people, it will take 1 year. For some other people, it will take 2 years for them to get over it. But I mean, the faster you get over it, the better for you. The faster you get over it, the better for you. So this is just me encouraging you and telling you that this pain will not kill you. No matter how you feel, express how you feel. If you're a person of faith, express how you feel to God. He's not afraid of your feelings. If you're someone who believes in God, He's not afraid of your feelings. I'm telling you, God is not afraid of your feelings. He knows what you feel. He knows how you feel. You know, people will always make an example of that. They'll say, don't say anything. Don't talk too much. Don't ask God questions. Yes, that's what people will say. Don't ask God questions. I'm not a preacher of that. If you are in a position to ask God questions, if you feel like that's what you want to do, go ahead and ask God questions. He's not afraid of your questions. Your questions are not too big for Him to answer. I mean, he's your father. Imagine that you are a father and your child falls. Your child is trusting you to catch them before they fall, and then they fall. You don't catch them and they get injured, and they come back to ask you, Daddy, why did you allow me to fall? You start beating the child. Why are you asking me why I allowed you to fall? That's the mindset I have towards God. So I'm free to ask Him, what were you doing? And you let this happen. So it's okay. Express yourself how you want, but just have it at the back of your mind that you're going to go through this and you're going to come out on the other side stronger. I don't want to turn into a preacher because this video is already too long. Let it not be too long and longer than what I wanted it to be. So I just hope you got something good from this video. If you have something to share and add to this, go ahead and do that. If you've had an experience of a stillbirth, you've had a child loss, how did you navigate it? How did you get through it to become stronger? Are you still struggling with it and you wish you could talk to someone? I'm here. I'm here. You can always get my contact in the description, and you can talk to me. I'll be more than willing to talk to you about it, to help you with the best, in the best way that I can. It's already a long video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for watching it up to this point. I hope that your heart is strengthened. I hope that you learned one thing or the other from this video. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe.